Welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Trace Armstrong and Rob McIntyre. We're here to do a preview of the Challenge Season 38 cast. And we're also going to talk a little bit at the end about the trailer that came out for the Challenge USA on CBS, which we think, based off of the trailer, is not that far off. If you would like to become a patron and get a bonus episode per week, we've been doing our All-Stars 3 recaps on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/The Challenge Chronicles and subscribe for $4 per month. The tone of those episodes is radically different than what the tone of this podcast episode will be. So I will quickly do an overview of the cast for Season 38, just going down the line. For the women, Amber Bizotra, Amber B, Annalise Talavera, Anissa, Emmy Russ from, I guess I should say the show too, Beauty and the Beast Germany, Kayla Casillas, The Real World, Go Big or Go Home, Casey Clark, Big Brother, Laurel Stuckey, The Challenge, Fresh Meat 2, Michelle Fitzgerald, Survivor, Mariah Judea, influencer model.
Another smack, literally a smackter. That is her title, is smackter.
They don't even try to disguise it.
No.
But I think that's all of them, isn't it?
But like, she's legitimately never been on reality TV. She's just a model influencer.
She hasn't been on a show.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In a lot of these cases, they have a way that they can try and disguise that's all that they really do. But she doesn't even have that. Nani Gonzalez, The Real World, Las Vegas. Nerys Mateo, Are You the One? Olivia Kaiser, maybe? Love Island USA. Raven Rochelle, another influencer and actress. Tamara Alfaro, Turbo's girlfriend. Tori Deal, Are You the One? That wraps up the women. For the men, Chauncey Palmer, Amber B's boyfriend. This is comical. Corey Lay, Some Christmas Show is what it says. Devin Walker, Are You the One? Fessy, Big Brother. Horatio Gutierrez, Exaltan Telemundo, and Olivia's friend. Jax Maddock, X on the Peak and Laurel's best friend. James Simon, Anissa's best friend. Jace Starrett, Survivor. Johnny Bananas, Real World Key West. Johnny Middlebrooks, Love Island US. Josh Martinez, Big Brother. Kenneth Clark, Casey's brother. Nam Vo, Ultimate Beastmaster. Nelson Thomas, Are You the One? Sam Bird, Love Island UK and Kayla's husband. Tommy Bracco, Big Brother. And last but not least, Turbo, Survivor Turkey. Let's give some general thoughts and we'll go through each of these people. My general thoughts is this is a big fucking fat F.
I don't think it's an F.
This is hold on. Let me say this. I'm gonna fucking just roast them real quick. This is fucking terrible, dude. This is absolutely terrible. If Laurel and Johnny weren't on this cast, this would be completely unwatchable. Literally the only reason that I'm gonna watch this is because Laurel's on this cast. That's literally it. The moment she goes out, this is gonna be a complete fucking joke. It's not gonna be entertaining, and there's not gonna be any reason to tune in every week. They did a terrible fucking job. And I saw this cast and just rolled my fucking eyes.
So my thing is, there are a couple decent hits with this cast. Turbo, Laurel, and Johnny.
That's two people. Those are three people. Mm-hmm. 3 people out of how many people are on this cast, Trace? How many people are on this cast?
That we have confirmed so far, I think we're at 36.
I think it's...
Is it 36? That many?
I think it's a little...
No, hold on.
It's
8.
It's less, because we don't know Josh's
17, 25.
I think it's 31.
25 and 8 is 33. We have 33.
Okay.
So we're still missing 5 people, okay? That's one thing that we just don't know. And here's the other thing. We have no idea who these partners actually are. There's quote-unquote confirmed, but it's really just speculation, okay? People are assuming that these are the pairings just based on who they are. Now, some of them I think you can reasonably say, yes, that's correct. Like,
I don't think they bring on Casey's brother to pair her with.
Right. Amber B's
Turbo.
not going to be not paired with her boyfriend. Turbo is not being not paired with his girlfriend. But there's some real wiggle room in here on some of these. And I think that people need to keep an open... Like, everybody at this moment is convinced that it's Johnny Bananas and Nani and Laurel and Jack. But Jack just could be an alternate. We don't know.
Time out, Trace. I guess that's the other piece that we did not mention to this yet. We did not mention what the believed theme for the season is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why we've been able to piece together a little bit of what we think the pairs are and why people online have been able to do that. The rumored theme for season 38 is allies.
Ride or die.
That's currently what it's
co-ed
being billed
pairs.
at.
And like that's fine. It's just in a vacuum. I think the format's fine.
I agree.
I don't have any.
I agree.
I always like co-ed pairs, and then I think that's a good way to have people on the cast who have some sort of relationship. It just does lead to some of these kind of odd casting choices, like Casey's brother. Like Casey's been such great TV these past couple of seasons. Let's bring on her brother.
Welcome to Bloodlines 2, Electric Boogaloo.
God, I hope not.
That's basically what this is.
This season, it's going to be a joke. It's going to be a joke. I know it already.
I mean, look, it's not promising. I would say that. I mean, look, the thing is too, which is more just a statement on the state of the show in general. This season could be bad and still be better than like the past 3 seasons.
Well, I still maintain Total Madness holds up better in retrospect compared to the previous 2.
So the other aspect of this is that I think we will probably get a very similar situation to what happened last season, where the veterans align together and just end up steamrolling everyone else. Because that dynamic has not changed. They still brought in a lot of people that will have no idea what they're doing. Who knows how much of the show that they've ever seen in any way, shape, or form. And I bet we see another strong contingency of players that are more veteran work together to make it to the end.
Well, how many of these pairings are going to have 2 rookies on it? I don't think it's going to be that many. Out of speculation.
Well, with the speculation, Olivia and Horatio, if that plays out, Johnny
Tommy
M and Raven, Tommy and Annalise. I don't even know.
That's Big Brother.
Yeah, like realistically, there's going to be 3 to 4 possibly actual only rookie teams.
So I guess it's not a lot, but those teams might as well not even be on the show. You might as well not even bother turning in the first.
I mean, sometimes 1 or 2 of them can kind of work their way into a veteran group. But I also there are some veterans on this cast. I have a hard time seeing Johnny and Devin work together.
Well, they buried the hatchet, man. They're fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna be surprised by that at all.
You think they buried
the hatchet? Devin apologized to him publicly. Johnny did the same thing, and they've been seen at a bar together with Wes. Like, they're fine.
All right. Well, maybe I'm wrong about that then.
I think that I think that there are going to be some teams that are at a distinct disadvantage just because Amber B has not been able to consistently work with anyone. So, like, she and her boyfriend are toast. I think Turbo and his girlfriend are going to be toast because Turbo is an amazing, crazy beast of a guy. But if it's a co-ed elimination, like, his girlfriend's got to hold up her end of the bargain, too.
Well, she could be good, too. It is crazy. It's like his girlfriend is coming on, right?
Let's
bring Berna back and have her be the partner.
And people talk about that online, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there was some...
like Berna was rumored to actually also be on the World of Worlds 1 cast. Like, they knew each other going on.
How excited are you to get the Amber B versus Big Brother narrative of, oh, I want to work with Big Brother. All Big Brother has done is slight me. And the Josh, Fessy, and Casey versus Amber B, and about how Amber B is against Big Brother. Carve my fucking eyes out. Because you know that's going to get rammed down our throats.
No, it is. And it feels... How would you say, in terms of, like, sort of villain versus protagonist, like, where do you think the show is going to kind of land on that Big Brother grouping? Are they going to be kind of the heroes of what's going on? I hope not.
I think it's unlikely that will.
No, I think that
happen.
this.
I just think we've gotten such blander and blander antagonists as seasons have gone on now, because whoever is the antagonist is just kind of chased off the show, it seems.
Yeah, I think what will be interesting to see is how Johnny Bananas plays here. And the reason that I say that is I think that at this point he's mad that CT's getting close to his championship record. So he could potentially come in and play the most boring game possible to sleepwalk to another championship.
Oh, I hope not.
Or
I don't think
or
so.
he's going to come in and be Johnny Bananas, and if he comes in and is Johnny Bananas, I mean, he's still going to be playing against a majority of people that have no idea what the hell they're doing. And so he could just sit there as puppet master the whole time and just la da 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 through this whole thing.
I don't think. Go ahead. Sorry, Devin.
The most likely scenario is he works with Big Brother and Devin.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Well, so he has a relationship with most of the Big Brother people from before. Like, he and Josh always worked together a lot when they were on seasons together. But he's also talked a lot about how he thinks the show sucks now and that they need to do a bunch of things different. I have a hard time seeing him just... And I think it's with Johnny, and one big difference between him and Wes, even in comparison to the rest of the cast, is that, like, Wes will have, like, stuff he'll do from, like, sort of a season-long narrative perspective. Like, he'll have, like, secret alliances and stuff. He'll do stuff like that. That's more kind of a season-long narrative. Johnny always has, like, 2 or 3 gimmicks, though, he does on a season that will, like, carry an episode or two.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah, but
I don't see him, like...
Those don't necessarily affect his standing in the game in a meaningful way, right? I don't think he's going to
sometimes they do.
I don't think he's going to do anything that will jeopardize his ultimate future for the entertainment of the show. I mean,
a lot of times it affects gameplay a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think it really affects his standing, though. I don't think he's going to do anything to jeopardize, like... I would be curious to hear him say, like, in his most recent seasons, right? Like, look, we can't include the island. We can't include any...
Yeah, let's do past 4 or 5 seasons.
Like, what has he done from an entertainment perspective for the show that has meaningfully affected his position in the game in a negative way?
So, I mean, the D thing on Total Madness, which we covered that episode, we both agreed it was pretty unnecessary.
But how was that?
It didn't affect his game, though. It didn't affect him at all.
Well, it didn't end up affecting you.
No, because he has the numbers in the house. D, he knows that no one's in with D. No one's aligned closely with her. So how does that really affect him?
Well, I'm just saying that, like, I mean, most people aren't going to do I don't think anybody on the show that's cast regularly is going to do something they think will have a negative impact on their game for the sake of TV. That almost never happens. But, like, I mean, it was just one of those things that was unnecessary. It made good TV.
So what are you saying then? That's what I'm saying. So
he's going to do stuff. He's going to do stuff to, like, make a decent TV product. Like,
yeah.
But, like, I mean, the thing is that, like, what do you want him to do then?
He's going to do that, but I don't think he's going to do anything that, like, hurts his chances to win, right? He's not going to do anything that, like, overly affects that. And I thought that that's what you were saying.
I mean, no, but I think he makes very risky moves that, like I again, we've argued about this all the time. I think his move that he and Laurel did on War of the Worlds 2 was very, very dumb when they threw that mission. You'd have to, at the very least, say it was a very risky move and had a lot of downside, which ended up happening. So he does do stuff that will, like, the EV on it is, whether it's plus or negative is up for debate, but there is at least a wide range of outcomes with a lot of the moves he pulls off.
I would say that the only real mistake that he made with his gameplay in terms of it, like, actually affected him was War of the Worlds 2 in a long time. Like, War of the Worlds 1, West just wanted him out, and he didn't have the numbers. Like, he didn't do anything that, like, drastically affected his game.
He could have thrown West in the first episode.
And he chose not to, but at the same time, he was trying to hopefully keep a truce with Wes, and Wes just wasn't going to play that way. And I mean, but it wasn't like he caused an incident that did anything. Final Reckoning, yeah, he had his thing with Devin, but it didn't really affect his game. They just got unlucky in an elimination.
I think some of the stuff he does earlier that season, I think he could have done a little bit better.
Well, I've blocked that out.
He's very much on the outs. He's very much on the outs that whole season. And Vendettas, he has that notes thing, which, I mean, they don't even.
That didn't even affect his game, though. That was just hilarious.
That didn't affect his game. But he also did. I thought his alliance management that season ended up being pretty poor. I mean, Tony, who was like one of his ride or dies heading into the season, ends up voting him in and getting him knocked out of the game later on. So I think that was kind of a hole there. Like, I think he's just. if he's on the season, I would be very surprised if he doesn't do a couple things to try to make a TV product, and then whether or not it's good for his game, like, is going to be a different question.
Yeah, so that's
It's not like he's a very safe player all the time.
We're not saying that at all. Like, of course he's going to do stuff to make a better TV show. What I'm saying, and I think what Trace would agree with, is that I don't think he's going to make any of those moves that are really going to impact his overall future.
No.
Right, Trace?
I agree with you. And I think that especially with this cast...
I think he would.
With this cast, if he is... Let's pretend that either option, it still turns out the same way. If him and Laurel are partners, there's a good chance they could run the fucking table. Okay? Like, there is a...
Would you want that, really?
Yes!
I want them to be...
I want to see something, because right now there's nothing. Like, literally, the only thing for me to... The only reason I'm going to tune in is because Johnny's on the cast and Laura's on the cast. If Laurel was not on the cast, I would think twice about doing this every week, for sure. Like, we would work out some type of situation where we would do a rotation.
Devon's in the bullpen.
Rotation.
We would do a rotation with the other challenge shows that are on and All Stars, and then maybe start to cover Survivor more. Yeah. Right? We would have to get creative with this.
Yeah.
Because I think this is going to be brutal.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as Spies, Lies, and Allies, simply for the fact that Bananas, Nelson, Laurel, and Turbo are there. There are going to be some good episodes, because does any of us think that Turbo is not going to lose his mind and do something outrageously stupid during this season?
I don't know about outrageously stupid. He's just a hard person to have to get a read on, which I think is good for the show, actually, because there's so many different opinions from different cast members on him. Like Wes talks about him like he's a calculated mastermind and is completely in control of everything he's doing, and then other people talk about him like he's just a powder keg that's going to explode at any given point.
Yeah, I think he's more the powder keg. Like during one of the reunions,
I haven't met the man. I just don't know.
During the World 2 reunion, when Jordan and Tori were still together, they had to move Jordan and Tori to a separate hotel because Turbo was down in the lobby pacing, waiting for Jordan to show up. Okay, like Turbo's out of his fucking mind when he gets pissed. And people forget that in addition to winning Survivor Turkey, the man was also legitimately in, the military. Not that being in the military is, bad. Obviously, my dad's a veteran, so, I have much love for the military. But, this dude don't play, period. And that's why it's going to be really interesting, because if I'm Johnny Bananas, my public enemy number one is Turbo, and there's going to be some butting of the heads there.
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be at least a little bit more conflict with this cast. Johnny's not CT, and that CT, I feel had better relationships with some of those people before and could really fly under the radar. I have a hard time for Johnny himself seeing, that he's going to be at the top of that alliance, that he's going to be able to just slay back and not have to do anything and make it to the end. They might not take a shot at him early, but I don't, he's not, he knows he's not going to be prioritized over Casey or Josh or Fessy or Devin or any of those people in that alliance.
Yeah, and that Laurel's sitting there licking her chops knowing, an Emmy is on the cast. Throw me in elimination with Emmy, see how that goes for you. Can you see her sitting around making her hit list again? Those kinds of things. I feel like there's going to be more entertainment than Spies, Lies, and Allies. But I also agree with Devin. As a whole, the entire cast does not get me excited. There's a couple people that are making me excited.
Because we're comparing this to arguably the worst season of all time.
Yeah.
If we're comparing this to Spies, Lies, and Allies, I fucking hope it's better than that. Right?
Yeah.
But
it better
when
be.
It comes to Johnny's relationship with the Big Brother Alliance, at the same time, that's still, even if he's in that alliance, that's 4 men. There's going to be 4 men that make the final, probably.
Yeah.
We would assume. So
I mean, realistically, yeah.
Well, the thing is,
I don't think it's an issue that he's last on that totem pole, or close to last.
Yeah, I think the real issue.
You think that
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, so you think it's just going to be him? I guess it's just hard to see who Nani's paired with, because I think that changes a lot. But
I think it helps him if he's paired with Nani.
Yeah, it really helps him.
I know, it definitely does. But so you think that's just before grouping? I'm trying to think of who else is on this cast who they also have connections.
Tori and Devin. That's going to be the real wild card there, because Tori and Devin were hand in hand with the Big Brother people all last season, all of that stuff. I think that's going to be the hard one for them, because if only 4 people can make the final, are Tori and Devin at the bottom of that totem pole? Will Johnny stick up for Laurel?
I think they're ahead of Johnny for sure. Unless he's paired with Nany, I think they're ahead of Johnny.
If he's paired with Nany, they will never throw him in, ever.
I
hope he's not paired with Nany, honestly. I hope Josh gets Nany. I think him being paired with Nany is a problem for the season.
I think Fessy's probably the one on the outside then, right?
No, I think Fessy is,
I'm not saying outside. I think he's on the bottom of that group. That's what I'm saying, because I think
Nany would probably rank higher than Fessy in that hierarchy.
Because of Nany's relationship with Casey. They're not going to do anything, like, they're essentially locked in step. They're not going to do anything to marginalizing each other in the game in any way.
Yeah, the best thing for Johnny would be to be paired with Nany, because they will make it to the final.
I think being paired with Laurel would be pretty freaking good, too. They would just be really, really
That
good.
would be better television. I agree with you, but because they will be the antagonists of the season if they're paired together.
But like, if he's paired with Laurel, dude, I mean, maybe if he was paired with Laurel, there would be a bit more of a groundswell to get them out. But like, I mean, I think they'd just be so much better than anybody on this cast, unless there's somebody really surprises us.
The issue, though, is that would put a huge target on them, and I could see a world where they would be gone within the first third of the season, which would be absolute worst case scenario.
Well, that's what I was saying, was that I feel like the two outcomes with them being paired together is either they steamroll or they're just targeted until they go out, both of which are bad.
Yeah.
That's actually worst thing in the world, because that means if one of them was eliminated, both of them are eliminated. And then
who do we want him paired with then?
Nany.
I don't want him paired with Nany. I feel like if he's paired with Nany, then it's just like Nany's obviously just not going to vote in Casey. Maybe then Casey kind of rocks them in and they're a little bit not as aligned with Fessy and Josh. But like, I want more of a conflict present between him and that power group that was there last season.
Yeah, I think the most
as long as possible.
Yeah, the most interesting from a television perspective will be to pair Bananas with Laurel. The best way for both of them, or at least one of them, to stick around a long time is if Bananas is paired with Nany. And that's why the fact that they can't figure out who Josh's partner is yet based on this cast, I really think that Bananas' partner is not Nany. I really do. I think that this is going to be either Laurel and Jack as an alternate, or the other option is that there is another female cast member that's on no one's radar that's coming in as his ride or die, whatever it is going to be.
Who could that be?
I mean, as dumb as this will sound, he's been pitching Emily Schramm hardcore to come back, and she even said that, maybe the time is right when she did his podcast a while back. If she's on there, all bets are off on that. I think at the end of the day, his partner is either Nany or Laurel, and Jack is an alternate in case Bananas pitches a thing and his contract doesn't work out, and they have an alternate for Laurel.
I have a hard time seeing them bringing an alternate on that really only work with one person, though. I feel like if you bring,
but I mean, the format kind of locks you into that, though. I mean, it really does.
Have a choice. You don't have someone that
you can bring on like someone like Nany could be partners with like half the cast.
Yeah, but I don't think they really care about the theme that much. They're not going to plan who's an alternate based off of who can be a partner with the most amount of people. We've seen that they in the past from seasons like this that they don't really care about that.
But they usually have to try to make it at least kind of something. I don't know.
No,
I would
not at all. Like Michael and Rivals,
obviously,
Cara Maria and Cook in Rivals too. They don't give a fuck.
But a lot of times with these alternates, they're used as before the show even starts, they come in and take somebody's spot.
Yeah, and then most of the alternates after episode 3 are sent home. So
yeah, they're launched. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see where some of this goes.
Yeah. We'll know in about probably 2 weeks what the actual partners are, because that's kind of how it works.
Everyone that listens to this podcast needs to tweet hate mail at the Challenge Twitter.
Jeez,
at the Challenge Twitter account, and tell them it came from Devin Jordan.
Yep. I think at this point, and we've said this before, and maybe I just said it before, but what we are seeing on the Challenge MTV now is not the Challenge we grew up with. That is, and I say grow up with very loosely because I was already in college when this show started. I would say that The MTV Challenge is still the flagship show, quote unquote, but the real challenge we care about is All Stars, and we've said that. That is the show. Like, watching All Stars 3 is night and day compared to the regular show. Like, All Stars 1, 2, and 3 have been far more entertaining than any season since the first War of the Worlds.
Yeah, people that listen to this and listen to our recaps of the main show that airs, this is the complete opposite attitude of the attitude that we have when we do the Patreon episodes for All Stars. You really need to go
largely,
and listen to that, because it's on the furthest opposite end of the spectrum for how we feel about that show, which is unfortunate.
Who do we think Kayla works with here? Is she kind of isolated?
Kayla,
she was an interesting casting choice to me.
Kayla and Nelson are probably working together, would be my guess, and I would imagine that Kayla.
Why?
Well, they kind of work together on Invasion.
I mean, not really. They were pretty opposed, actually. Like, if you look at the beginning of that season when they were in the Oasis, Kayla and Nicole Z were really, like, on the outs of sort of the main grouping, and Nelson was very much a part of the main group.
Okay. I just don't know that she has any other choices, you know, like Anissa, but that's not going to help you.
Well, she and Tori are friends.
Yeah, I think that she'll get to hang around a while just because there's some real weak sauce on this cast.
When you look at this cast, how many people on this cast do you look at and say, that's a good casting decision? I'm happy that these people are on here. How many people on here?
Like, is it like hitting par for the hole or getting a birdie? Like, are we saying that they like this is something that you would expect them to do, but it's
they
fine,
meet expectations or exceed
no.
expectations?
This is good, right? Like, in the standards of All Stars casting, like, this is a good casting choice.
Turbo and Laurel would be the only two to me. I don't even think Johnny counts, because I think that's just an obvious thing to do if he wants to do it.
So I have three. I have Turbo, Johnny, and Laurel. That's it.
Yep.
I think Kayla's an interesting choice. I'm good with them doing that. There are people on the main.
I thought that was fine. You know, I saw that and I was like, whatever.
Y'all are leaving out the most important cast member, Anissa. What are you talking about?
That's just so weird to me with her, right? She seemed done with the show.
My question is who committed a murder that she was a witness to that she's still getting calls for this fucking show?
Why didn't she host the podcast? Is that why she's casted on the show? Because she hosts the podcast?
Yeah, that's really that, and I guarantee you,
a factor.
Like she has built a 2+ decade long relationship with Bunham and Murray, and as long as Anissa wants to come or can physically come, she will. Like, if Anissa is 50 and still somehow able to move, they will cast her.
Man, is she going to get pushed to the All-Stars bucket eventually, or not even?
She was.
She was on All-Stars 1.
But I mean, like in perpetuity.
No. I think that she, as long as she wants to be on the main show, she will be. And at this point, like, somebody made a really interesting point that her appearance fee at this point has to be ridiculous, because some appearance fees are just based on, like, this is how much it's going to cost us to get this person. But there's also an escalator clause for number of seasons you have done that you get a certain percentage raise.
Yeah.
Like, Anissa's got to be in the 6 figures just to show up at this point, which is asinine to me.
I remember I did the fantasy preview show with Pat for Total Madness, and Anissa was on the cast, and he was like stunned that she came back, and then she's been on every season.
Yeah, except for a couple All-Stars. Yeah.
Has anyone talked with Pat about what he thinks about this cast?
No, I haven't talked about this cast. He thinks he's not as down in the past 2 seasons as definitely you are. He thinks they were fine for the most part.
I think Double Agents was fine. It wasn't good, but it was fine. I think Spies, Lies, and Allies was a borderline abomination.
What has he thought about?
I think they're definitely worse.
I would rather go back and rewatch
Bloodlines
and Vendettas than watch Spies, Lies, and Allies again.
What does Logan think about the last couple of seasons?
I haven't talked with him in a bit. I don't know. I'd have to check in.
Yeah, he's been relatively quiet on the social media front.
He was not a big fan of most of Spies, Lies, and Allies from what I could glean. And then there were a couple. I mean, there were a couple good episodes of Spies, Lies, and Allies. We all agreed on that. There were a couple good
sure.
episodes. It was just that
2 out of 19 is not a good ratio.
Well, no, it's not. But it was like it just evolved into such this bland veterans rolling through.
Man.
It does seem like because remember, Tori and Anissa had a couple producers on their podcast, and I listened to those episodes. They did recognize that as an issue on the podcast. Like they said, they were like, "Oh, we weren't expecting the veterans to stick together." So you would hope
which is crazy to me.
With the format they created, that was the first thing that stood out.
And
in
the moment that they see that that's an issue, change it.
Pivot.
Right? You can do anything here. You're in charge.
Yeah, like that I completely agree with you on that. They should have went to the teams or did something with that earlier to like shake up things.
Mm-hmm.
They literally could have made one move that would have changed the season. All they had to say was you can no longer pick any person from a pair.
You have to pick a whole pair.
Right? You can't pick two people from any pair. You have to pick a pair. And that changes the season.
Well, remember before the season even began that I was skeptical this Veterans Alliance was going to be able to hold up because I had assumed you would be picking the pair to go in, and that at that point you only have so many people to go.
And then it fell apart. Episode 1.
Yeah, and then they do that, which is it also with that picking two people from different teams. It just feels like something they were like, hey, let's do this instead. Like, I don't think there was much of like a reason to do that. It was just like, oh, let's try it.
They were just trying to get cute and do something different. And what they did cute and different failed spectacularly. And I give them credit for trying something new. I give them credit for that. Like, I had pitched this type of format a long time ago. The problem was they screwed it up.
My thing is, I just really hope that they, when they're in these boardroom meetings, actually like play out sort of a season.
No, they're not doing that.
Themselves. Well, that's what I'm saying. I hope that they would and do.
I can confirm that they do that. They sit down and they think through the possibilities of how stuff would play out in the game. They do that.
Through it or play it out.
They're not thinking very hard.
Thinking through it and playing it are different things. My thing is, like, what I want them to do is like, let's get 16 of them in a room. You guys all play Mario Kart or Mario Tennis or something. Those are your missions, and then you vote based on that, and then you have your eliminations of a different game, and then you go from there. I actually like if I was in charge, that's what I would have them do, and have them. And sort of prearrange alliances and stuff before. Let's just see how this goes with the format we've created, because that's very easy to do. It takes very little time.
It's game theory,
and no money.
But basically no money. You've got to pay for an Xbox or a Switch to play your games on. That's all.
Especially relative to the amount of money that's invested in the show.
Yeah,
and it's one of the most crucial aspects of the show.
And my thing with that is there's just some things you find out when you do something in actuality that you can't find out from surveying or from thinking about it. You just need to do something sometimes to figure out what the issues are going to be. So I would hope that some of those practices have been put into place.
Yeah.
I mean, this cast is, I don't even know if I would call it disappointing, just because when a lot of people were really pumping up this season 38 cast, I was always so skeptical that anything was really going to change. Same. And we did, again, get a couple cast members that I am very interested to see play. But largely this is promises are not high. I just hope that we at least get something a little bit different, like maybe the Big Brother Alliance is a little bit more on the outs or something. Like I just hope something like that happens.
I mean, do you realistically think that's going to happen, or is that just what you?
Well, so I mean, if Tori and Devin aren't as committed to that group as they were before, and I could see something changing a little bit there. I know Tori's close with Kayla, or if Johnny and Laurel decide not to work with them and to work with somebody else, I could see that changing things a bit. Like if Johnny and Laurel say, "Hey, we'll work with Kayla. We'll work with." I don't know if they really want to work with Turbo, but
they definitely don't want to work with Turbo. I mean, if I'm Johnny Bananas and I want my best shot at winning, and let's pretend that he and Laurel aren't paired together, he's going to hope that Laurel has a weaker male partner and they make the final. He's going to want Josh and whoever to make the final, because I don't think any of us think that Josh has a legitimate chance to win something heads up like that. And then you got to pick some random rookie layup team to go with you. I mean, that's how they're going to do it, if they're going to go that way.
That's the issue with the Big Brother Alliance, is that they're very closely tied together. And now, like, Casey and Fessy are good, but we just, with this Kenneth Clark guy, do we know what he looks like?
He doesn't look like he's in great shape.
Well, I actually think that's good, honestly, if he's not. Like, we need Casey to not, because Casey had a really good partner, too.
She'll just sleepwalk to the final.
Yeah, they'll just sleepwalk to the final. But if she has a weak partner now, maybe then they're not going to be winning every mission.
See, that's
the only issue with this Big Brother Alliance. This alliance is like, I feel like Johnny would want to work with him because I feel like he could pretty easily beat them in a final. Whereas Turbo, that would be much harder.
See, that's the type of season they need
Narnia,
right there.
Maybe not.
We just hit on a new season format that should happen. We should call it the Challenge Redemption. You take half the cast and make them some of the best players of all time, and then you pair each of them with like a Siobhan, a Karam.
You trust the producers to know who the good and bad cast members are?
That's the problem.
Like,
they would have Anissa on the like great side.
That's what I'm saying. Anissa was like a mercenary that for Vendettas.
Laurel has to be paired with Big Easy.
That would be the best. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if he would agree to that. That would be bad for him.
I don't think either would agree to it. Neither party would agree.
Okay, Buna Murray, there is another All-Stars format for you right there. I have just gifted you television gold. You're going to pair up Laurel and Big Easy. You're going to pair up Johnny Bananas and Siobhan. You're going to pair up Mark Long with who's a really terrible female politician.
Kendall.
Kendall. Pair up Mark Long and Kendall. Like, just...
That'd actually be pretty good, though.
I thought about that. I thought about that this morning, that in a potential, like, Rivals All-Star season, Mark Long and Kendall would be really good.
That would be really fun.
I think it's with Kendall, too. I feel like she's kind of happy to let him handle the politics. If, like, you know what I mean? I don't think she just wants to be involved with that at all.
But then the confessionals are easy because Mark Long's just like... she's ruining my political game, man. I don't know what the hell she's doing.
Dude,
like,
have you ever heard Mark Long talk about anyone the way he talks about Kendall? Like, I can't think of anyone else.
No, it's very different. Like, what happened there? It's just so strange to me.
He's even like a huge fan of Beth, right? He loves Beth.
They're real friends. They were friends prior to the challenge.
He's friends with Beth and Veronica. Like, he merges the fences there.
So do we want to go down, just quickly go down? I don't know. There may not be a point of doing this. And so
I don't think we should until there's more confirmation.
I was just going to say, like, the main people, like the big people that we know of, and give a letter grade and a quick quip about, because there are some people here that...
all right, before we do that...
There's some people that we haven't even mentioned.
Yeah.
I
want to tell a really funny story that happened with this cast. So Nam, production apparently had the biggest hard-on to get Nam on this season, okay? And they were asking him for weeks, who's a potential partner for you? Who's a potential partner for you? And he wouldn't respond. And so they signed him to the show and stuck him with Emmy. And their relationship is that they are German reality stars.
Last season. I feel like we need to be clear about that, even because they have the same name. Maybe don't just spell it differently. And I wonder why with him. Like, he's like a nice guy, and he's obviously in good shape. But it's not like he was like a dynamic character. Like, that's a weird one to me. They've really fallen in love with here. Because he's basically like. Then with him is like, if you guys watch Park and Recreation, there's that company that Ben always is like about to work for and then doesn't. That's what this kind of feels like. We're like, they keep trying to make.
Oh, he's gonna be good, but no, he's really not that good. I mean,
he was around on Double Agent for a while.
His best contribution to the show was rebuffing Lolo's romance and making the most awkward partner dynamic in a long time.
He's pretty much been on one season, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, he was
there for 5 seconds last year.
Spies, Lies, and Allies.
So let's at least talk about some of the people that we haven't really talked about yet. We haven't talked about Michelle Fitzgerald.
I was going to bring her up, yeah.
You were sure at the end of last season that she was never going to be back.
Who's you? Me?
I thought.
You were pretty convinced.
No. This is not. We can go back and rewatch the reunion tape right now. I was the one person who said she would be back. You guys both said you thought she looked. Yes.
Okay, I do remember this. She looked like she wanted to be anywhere but that stage during the reunion. I remember this now.
I think she liked everything else about the show. She just did not like interacting with Amanda. That was the one thing she didn't like. So I thought she was going to be back.
I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Like I don't ever need to see her on TV again. I don't think.
I thought I liked her last season. I thought she brought a good dynamic.
I think it's an F.
I think she's an F for casting Michelle.
She's not an F. I'd give her a C.
I think
they're all Fs except for Johnny, Laurel, and Turbo. They're all Fs. All of them.
I think Nelson's a little higher.
It's all fucking garbage, dude. Like, it's all garbage. We just see these people all the goddamn time, season after season. There's no new storylines. It's the same, like, trite garbage that comes out of their mouth. It's terrible.
But I think that's not everybody on the cast. I think it's a significant portion who happen to be in control all the time. But Michelle was not at all a part of the power factor last year.
Yeah,
She was being put in all the time.
I think she and Jay are
And,
in
like,
huge trouble.
And then we got
Yeah,
some
I
like
think
just
they're in
like
a bad
bullshit
spot
bullshit
completely.
storyline about some showmance that she has with Emmanuel. Like, shoot me in the fucking head. Like,
Like, I mean, I like Michelle. I think she's a good cast member. So I'm
know
happy
you
with
do.
her being on. I'm with you that she's going to be on the outs very much. But like my thing too is like, I just want a lot of people who I want people on the show. My first requirement over Smarter Than Anything is honestly that they know and are willing to play the game of the show. Like they know and are willing to actually like
would agree.
strategize and stuff. And she does that. She at least knows the show and is willing to like move tactically. And she's also not going to be a part of that power group from everything we know.
Yeah.
So having somebody on the outside who's willing to do that, I think, is actually very good for the show. And Jay's kind of the same way.
all right, so let's talk about Jay. What do you think about Jay?
I don't think we've really only seen one. I feel like we only. I
You've
don't
been on
remember him
2
that much on
seasons.
Double Agents, to be honest. I know. I don't remember him on Double Agents that much.
He was
Madness,
supposed
had
to
the
be
whole
on last
storyline.
season, but he broke some rules and got sent
He
home.
broke COVID protocol.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's fine. Like I'm not huge on him either way as a cast member. Again, he'll at least not be a part of the bigger alliance and will be willing to work against it. Like the thing is with him and Michelle is I have a very difficult time seeing them do like what Emmy did last season, where they're kind of just expository to the Veterans Alliance, or even someone like Anissa or Amanda to a lesser degree. But so they'll at least know what they're doing and work against them. So I think they're better than average casting choices for this season.
So let's talk about this because you mentioned it. Emmy and Emmanuel were supposed to be paired and go on this season, and they got dropped at the airport or right before, correct? From what we've heard?
Yeah, and there's been mixed rumors as to why.
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah,
really want to
yeah.
get into it that much, but
Say it.
there's. So Emmy had a showing on her local talent show where she used some racially insensitive language, very racially insensitive language. That I think production knew about before she got cast.
So that's-
last season,
yeah,
but I
I've-
guess
I've-
it kind of blew up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And people in our Discord mentioned this too, that they knew about this the whole time. So I don't know why that would have changed at the last minute.
It kind of
So-
blew up more now than it was before.
When
And we
people
don't know
heard
anything
that she was
before.
being cast, they started making a stink about it.
But why?
Yeah, people.
And
It's
it
weird
could have
that
been
they
a
would edit her
CBS
is pro-
directive too. It could have been a Paramount directive too.
Yeah,
Like people
that's
don't
also
realize
true.
that Paramount now has a really huge hand in who can and can't get cast on the show. And they have a rule in place where half the cast needs to be, not a white person. I think that's a good thing for the diversity of the show, by the way. That said, can you do that and have someone come on the show who was using racial slurs on TV? The answer is no. And there are going to be people on the cast that resent the fact that she's there because of that. So to me, either she has to make a public apology and say, make real amends, and she also needs to show that she actually understood what she did was wrong. And if she's not doing that, then there's going to be bad press on it at some point. So you cannot cast her, period.
Yeah, she was dropped at the airport, from what we understand. So Emmanuel also got the boot then, because
Fresh off his Eurovision
Okay.
appearances.
yeah, so they're gone. I mean, is there anybody else in this cat? Like,
What do we think about? I mean, I guess we've talked about Casey. We've talked about Laurel. I'm just kind of scanning through this right now. We haven't really talked. We've talked indirectly about her, but Nani, like, what the fuck? Come on, like.
Nani
especially
hasn't
after
been
last season where
interesting.
She gave
has
us
since-
nothing.
Yeah, she's not been interesting since she and Casey officially started dating, because at Total Madness she had the
I
great
think well
ramen
before
noodles
that.
thing. Well, the ramen noodles thing on Total Madness was pretty funny. And then I would even say World of Worlds 2, there was nothing there just because she kind of got buried in that alliance and just never really did anything.
yeah.
War of the Worlds 1, not really anything dramatic there either.
I mean, that was like her return season.
Yeah.
She had a couple relationships that season, at least. Like, she was hooking up with Hunter, or she was hooking up
Yeah.
with
But I mean,
Chase before he got eliminated.
aside from the ramen noodles thing, she really hasn't done anything interesting in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for her. And I don't even think she, like, compared to other people who have been on as many seasons as she has, she doesn't seem to do as much of, like, the producer type stuff on the show. Like, even someone like Anissa will set stuff up more than Nani does.
This will sound horrible, and I don't mean it to sound horrible. Nani is legitimately a very beautiful woman, and she's a vet. So to me, I think she gets cast because she's super kind to production, and she fits an archetype for casting.
But she was also like she was a very well-known personality when she was on her Real World season.
Yeah,
like
but that was 10
very,
years ago.
Known commodity. No, I know it was. But I think she's
how many people watching this version of the challenge even saw her on the Real World Vegas 2?
I feel like with Nani, it's kind of like, like those veterans, like Carmelo Anthony, for example, that because of name value, people know who he is. He still plays like 20 minutes a game and puts up a couple numbers, even though he's actually terrible for your team. I feel like that's kind of what it is with Nani.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Nani had like 4 Dynamite appearances, and she hasn't gotten anywhere close to that peak since in terms of entertainment value.
Tori. I mean, whatever.
Tori's the one like of those vets cast members that I think still. I think it's with Tori is she's a good competitor and she at least is in storylines and stuff, and she'll have some political game will kind of go back and forth. Like she at least does stuff for me on the show that a lot of these people don't. Like I think she's a way better cast member than Casey is.
Dude, I don't even want to go through the rest of these people.
I was gonna say you want to skip Letter Games.
That's why I was like, dude, do we really want to do this? Because like it's just gonna be depressing. So
yeah, we don't. I think we can just talk about a couple of the ones that stand out in either direction.
Of course we're gonna watch it. Of course we're gonna cover it. We're gonna hope for the best. We're gonna hope that the format is interesting. I don't think it's going to be that interesting, but we'll see. There's a couple people I'm excited to see on this cast, and we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. Now I've set the bar so low that I'm giving MTV and Buna Murray an easy mulligan here to clear this bar. My expectations are that this is going to be the drizzling shits at the end of the day. So if you can just get to solid turd, I'll be happy on this.
Yeah, like my expectation is that this is going to be one of the worst seasons of all time. That's where I'm
so at. Let's say this, because we know vaguely what the pairs are going to at least kind of look like, and we know who the cast is largely. If they put you in charge of the format, like how people were voted in, how that looked like, what the mission structure was, what would you do?
Okay, this is simple. I've said it on Discord. Let's take this exact cast. Like, how would I maximize a format with this cast that we have?
And the pairings.
And the pairings.
Pairing structure.
I say you still call it ride or die, but what you do is you put them into teams of 4 and do a Battle of the Seasons-esque type format, and you structure it so that you've got a team, a pair that are, allies, but you make it so that at least one person from the opposite team, they have real beef. So let's say you pair up Johnny and Nani. Well, then the opposite of that would be let's put Devin and somebody else or something like that. I mean, Josh, and they'll probably, even though Josh and Fessy are still friends, you would probably pair them up as a double pair because of the fact that because of Josh and Fessy having their thing last season. Like, there are ways to create it so that you're a team of you've got your ride or die, but you also have an antagonist on your team that makes trouble, and then you do the seasons format. You have 4 preset eliminations. You have to pick from the board when it's your turn. The last place team automatically goes in, and then the power team picks the other one. I think that is the best way to make this season successful.
They have to make the missions worth something this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, as much as anything that they're going to do with this based on what we have now, they have to do that. Like, I don't know. Because that's been such a big problem with these past couple seasons, is that these missions just haven't mattered, really. I mean, we've known who's going to go into the elimination before the episode starts.
Coming in dead last has 0 repercussions if you were a veteran last year, period, until we got towards the end a little bit.
Well, and like the pair setup, the only thing that matters is if you won.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so many people knew they were going to be safe regardless of what happened.
Yeah, like you have to make it really dangerous, and you know that if Bananas is in the power team, he's going to stir the pot. So you've got to make it so that, I have to win or else this person might screw me. Like, those are the types of things that make for interesting politics and competition.
All right, let's talk about the Challenge USA trailer that came out recently. And then
man, did they pump some money into this thing is all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how this show is going to be portrayed. Like, is it just you think it's going to be very just competition focused? Because it seems like to me.
The drama piece of this is the last thing on their mind from what I saw.
What about even just like the strategic elements of it, like the politics? I don't even know how much that would be highlighted, to be honest. Because it kind of is on all these feature shows.
I couldn't even really tell who was on the cast from the trailer.
Yeah, they didn't highlight the cast at all. Like they always showed the shows people were coming from, but the only person you saw was TJ, really.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, that man's probably happy he chose not to be a firefighter because, man, that dude's busy.
Yeah, he's got to be pulling in the money.
You'd have to think that this is part of just like a larger buildup that'll happen where we'll slowly get more and more information. But there's also a difference between how they market the show and then how the show is actually executed. So
sure.
I heard Paramount had a huge hand in how this thing's being portrayed, and obviously because it's on CBS.
Weren't there also a lot of reports that the cast and production had a lot of issues this season? Tyson
was not thrilled with how production treated them. He was on Rob Has a Podcast recently, and he intimated that he was not thrilled. He was basically like, Survivor is the gold standard for how you structure a daily challenge, was his quote. And I was like...
But you know it's going to be like... Because like these idiots are going to have them doing these missions and then like changing the rules at like midway through, and they're just not going to have it like the regular cast does.
No, because they've been playing for the A-list, and now arguably they're playing JV.
Like, imagine for one of these people what happened to like... let's forgo the All-Stars 2 final. But even where like the PA last season, remember there was that, like Tori said, that there was that PA that like pointed the flag, and then Kyle jumped off the cliff when they were in the middle of the final, and then they had to like get their way back out of it and go back over. Like, challenge people are kind of used to dealing with that. I expect a lot of these CBS folks are not going to be happy about that.
No,
like I think we're looking at like multiple lawsuits this season if it goes wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say about it, just because it was.
The only thing I would say is just that I think from what we see so far, and that's always can change. This does seem like it's going to be very competition focused, and I think that makes sense based on the rating the show is given, the network it's on, and what I would think they want to do with this product. Because I think what the opening they see with the challenge is that these other shows that the people are coming from have competition as a part of it, but it's not the highlight. Like on Survivor or Big Brother, it's about strategy and relationships. For Amazing Race, it's kind of like almost a geographical show. Love Island's obviously a romance-based show. This is their one opportunity to have a show that's really like, let's get people in the stand and like, have some handbag or elimination, have a really very competition and flashy focus.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I would think that's what it is.
The only other thing I would add about Amazing Race is you're really racing yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you can literally go on Amazing Race, not make a single alliance, and not work with anybody, and still win the show. Because it's all about your performance, and that's that. And so this is showing my age so hard right now. When I was really little, like we're talking like 3 and 4, so we're talking mid to late 80s, there was a show called Battle of the Network Stars, and they would bring on people from sitcoms, and they would bring on people from soap operas and stuff like that, all the big TV shows of the 80s and the 70s, and they would put them in competitions. This is the reality show version of Battle of the Network Stars. This is what this is.
I don't know that the personalities would be highlighted that much, though. They haven't been so far.
What, in the one trailer we saw?
They highlighted nothing.
I know,
but... yeah, like, I mean, that's what I mean. This is one trailer. I wouldn't... So, I could see them making this more challenging, like, physical performance focused, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if there was literally nothing from this trailer that could be gleaned about how the show is actually happening.
So do we know if the episodic structure of this show is going to mirror the MTV challenge? Like, is it going to be mission?
Yeah, I was told, and because I haven't looked at any spoilers, but I did ask about a couple things, and they're like, nope, it's the challenge. You're going to have a daily, you're going to have a vote, and you're going to have an elimination.
Okay.
Now, how they go about all of that, I don't know, but it is the challenge. They are keeping the format of the basic structure.
What are the chances Devin hates the Challenge USA more than he hates this next season of MTV
Super low.
Challenge?
Super low.
Super low?
Yeah,
I think it's just a 45-minute mission.
Because, dude, that would...
Well, they're not going to have an hour and a half time slot, first of all. They are going to have a 1 hour time slot.
35-minute mission.
the fact that Tyson is on this season already gives it a huge head start. The casting seems like it's like somewhat like pretty decent by all accounts.
Yeah,
even beyond the people from Survivor that they brought on
that we know about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying that. I just have a weird feeling that you're not going to like this show. I have a feeling that it's going to highlight all the things you don't like.
If 80% of the show is the challenge, yeah, it's not going to be good.
I think that this has the potential, to be good because we don't have a whole lot of pre-existing relationships that can dominate the game. Like, you're going to have to earn your way through the game, and you're going to have to build new relationships. And so I think that this will probably be more entertaining in a certain aspect than Spies, Lies, and Allies. Again, that bar is very low. But we're not talking about there's 8 vets that are going to sit there and run the table. Like, we have a blank slate for this show in terms of personalities.
One of my issues with the emphasis on the missions, the daily missions, as a component of the show, beyond the issues that we've talked about already, I don't think we've necessarily highlighted this as much, is that if you do that, you are essentially showcasing people doing an activity, and in most of the cases, those people aren't really that athletic relative to other like media that you could watch people doing, right? Like, I would rather watch the NBA or football or something else where these are really good athletes performing an activity.
But that's the thing, is that they actually cast really dynamic athletes on the show. People are really interesting to watch compete. I think it'd be different. But, like, Anissa's on the cast.
I know, that's what I mean. So
that's his point.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Like, when the cast used to be, like, if you look at the World Wars I, World Wars II cast, I still obviously want the drama and politics highlighted on those shows. But, like, watching Turbo and Jordan compete in an event is compelling to watch.
Yes.
Like, that's very interesting to watch. But for a lot of these people who are just, like, average, like, athletes, like, it's just not. Yeah, I'm completely with you.
And, like, no offense.
Turbo and Jordan are
park and watch.
Go ahead.
I can go to the park and watch a bunch of 13-year-olds play soccer if I wanted to right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can go find that very easily.
Because Turbo and Jordan are compelling as athletes, and they're compelling as characters, right? Mm-hmm. They do both. Mm-hmm. And if you are going to completely... I mean, they're screwing up at it from both angles, right? They don't have people that are compelling as characters, and they don't have people that are compelling as athletes. And so that doesn't really move forward both of the main components of the show, right? Mm-hmm. There's the political perspective, and then there's the character perspective. They're not getting people that are good at either. And so at that point,
I would say there's the
doing?
Politics, the drama, and the politics, the drama, and the competitions. And there's a lot of people here who are very close to the bottom on both. On all three, I should say. Yeah. Like, I don't even think... Because, like, this cast, like, it's not even... Like, who's actually good competitors on this cast?
Which one? CBS USC?
Let's say...
Laurel, Johnny, and Turbo.
Let's say on the male side. Who are good competitors? Like, who are people you actually think, like, if that's partners we don't know about, who are people that can actually, like, win this season if it's a good final?
Bananas, Turbo, maybe Fessy.
I think Fessy's
That's about it.
Some of these rookies, one of them could be good. We just don't know about.
Those are the
like
odds
Devin's
on
performance in the final. Go ahead.
Those are the odds-on favorite to win the final this season.
Yeah,
the ones that he just named.
Yeah.
Well, we just don't know what these pairs are going to look like. Though.
Yeah, you're only going to be as good as your partner.
I mean,
yeah, I guess I should reframe that, right? If it was just the men competing in a final, those would be the favorites to win a final.
And the final was like the World's One or the Free Agents or final or something that was actually representative of what a final should look like.
Mm-hmm. Even the All Stars 1 final.
Yeah, just like not All Stars 2 or not Spies, Lies, and Allies.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I should say even if they did have people that were great athletes, elite athletes competing in these missions and in these eliminations and in the physical aspect of the game, I still wouldn't want to emphasize that aspect of the show as much as they've decided to do. Go ahead, Rob.
I think a lot of it's that they feel like they just don't want to air some of this house content. Some of it I actually think would be just give me some like levity type stuff. People talk about.
I mean,
like,
they do it on
stuff that
fucking
happen
All Stars. That's the thing that drives me crazy. We get some of the house content. They make a point to show the themed parties. They make a point to show them having fun. We show them doing political conversations in the treehouse. Like,
Yeah.
they can and make it interesting, but for whatever reason, there is some sort of directive to make the MTV show more of a political CrossFit style show.
All right.
Yeah. Like, I just think, man, we're just with. Like, where are these guys cast us from a competitive perspective to me? Obviously, you've got Turbo and Johnny. It just seems very, very low grade, right?
The women's seems that way too.
I think the women's isn't as
Laurel,
bad.
Casey, and Tori.
And Kayla's decent. I think she's starting to be decent now from All Stars.
Yeah, but that's in the context of All Stars.
Yeah, I think she'll be okay here. There's a lot of female casts that are very top heavy like that. Like, that's not abnormal even for good seasons. Like Dirty 30, for example, has like 3 or 4 women who are actually good competitors, and the rest of them are kind of cannon fodder.
I think that's a lot of the seasons, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. That's a lot of seasons that are structured in that way, especially on the female side, compared to the men's. Whereas this men's cast, like, would you say it's better or worse than last season's men's cast, just from a pure competition perspective? Pretty similar.
I think it's about the same, because it's just like I think the difference is last season you had a couple heavier people at the top. Like, from a competitive standpoint, CT was good. We make fun of him, but Corey's not bad.
Like, I mean, come on, bro. Like, no, we're not even. But I think it's like you just said, we had a couple of heavier people on the cast, and there was CT, and then Corey's not bad.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not.
I mean, the point of it is compared to the rest of the cast. Like, if you compare the rookies from last year, you would had to have stuck Corey in the top 5 or 6, and that's how bad the bottom half is. And that's the big issue for me, is that there's maybe 3 male competitors that have a real chance at winning at the top, and then there's just everybody else. And then you look at All Stars, and we had 2 people at the bottom, and everybody else is great.
So what I would say with this cast is, it feels like the difference between this cast and last season's cast is like I would say Johnny and Turbo are legit really good competitors that they show up on a season. They're going to be competitive in that season, no matter pretty much who else is on it. Whereas last season, I think CT is the only person you could decidedly say that for. Fessy's kind of in between.
I was going to say Fessy. You don't think Fessy's that way? I think Fessy's very good.
I think Fessy is good and very competitive. He's just been his own worst enemy. Like,
he just has a couple holes that those guys
just
don't.
I mean, if Casey doesn't hurt her knee and he has her take it easier, they very well could have won Double Agents.
Yeah, I mean, that might not be fair to him. Maybe he should be a little bit higher. I just feel like if I showed up on this cast, I'd be like the 6th best guy, which is not promising.
Fessy's problem is not his physical performance. Fessy's problem is his decision-making and his social skills. That's his problem. He's got to work on that.
So
like, in Total Madness, he screwed himself a little bit by trying to fly too under the radar. Double Agents.
Well, I mean, he made the final that season. He just did bad in the final.
Yeah.
I think his...
I mean, if he'd have been more political, he would have never let Johnny get near that final.
Maybe that's a decent argument.
All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, we've won an hour somehow. That's good.
If you want to be a patron, patreon.com/The Challenge Chronicles, $4. You get to hear us talk in positive notes about All Stars. You get other really good content. What else did we want to mention? We will start. There's probably I don't know. Trace wanted to mention that there's going to be more content coming out on the main feed. It'll still probably be pretty infrequent, just because it has been nice to just do 1 episode per week instead of 2 while we did.
We've also had, like, Deb and I have both been
we've all been traveling. We all needed time off. I mean, when a regular season of the show airs, we're committing to 19 straight weeks of 2 episodes a week. And we love doing the show, but man, we all got lives. I've got a wife and kids. Like, it's just hard to do. So the one thing we guarantee is if you're a Patreon, you're going to get 4 episodes a month for sure. That is a guarantee. You are getting 4 episodes a month.
Pretty good deal.
It is, man. $1 an episode for content you really want to hear. We're in good moods on Patreon.
Especially compared to other, I feel like how many challenge episodes? How many episodes per month do you get through Challenge Mania if you're a patron?
They
do more. They have like a bonus show. They have like bonus interviews.
But how much do you pay? More than 2 weeks. How much do you pay?
There's a lot of different tiers, and they do more stuff.
Well, there's a couple that are like you don't get the episode of content. I want to say the cheapest for episode content is $5 or $10. Not that much. And
they have tiers because they rely on cast interviews for a lot of stuff. You can be part of like live interviews where you're on Zoom and can ask a question of the challenge competitor. So like they have bigger tiers for that stuff. Like for what you get from us, like we don't really rely on interviews. We generate our own content, so we are what we are.
We definitely do not rely on interviews. I can't imagine that
I don't want to ever be in a place where we have to rely on interviews because it affects our ability. Like if we can get an interview like we did with Yes every now and then, I'm all for it.
That's fine.
But I don't want it to be the crux of the show because it's hard to be impartial if you're relying on cast members to drive your content. And that's not to diss Challenge Mania. They do what they do really well. We're just different. That's it.
It's just a different medium.
I mean, like I don't want to like get on here and like try and like I feel like I guess I shouldn't talk because I haven't listened to any of these podcasts in a while. But like, what do you think the tone of some of these other podcasts about this cast is?
I mean, Ben was going to start a GoFundMe to cancel the show, so it's not positive for everybody.
I think the more heavily reliant you are on cast members on the upcoming season, you are going to be very politically correct in how you talk about it because you need those people to come on the show.
Yeah, it's like when you see like how Woj like doesn't diss certain NBA franchises or like other reporters don't diss.
And here's how I feel Challenge Mania, and they've handled it well in my opinion. They will say, I disagree with the move this person made. I disagree about how they handled this, but they don't like go where we go scorched earth sometimes.
Well, there's a good way to do that. Like I actually think like Rob Has a Podcast always did a really good job about not being honest about what cast members were doing, but also being respectful and not like mean or they were not Russell Hansing the situation. They would be able to.
So basically, that we Devin and I are Russell Hans. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you guys are Russell Hans, and then I'm.
Can I be coach instead?
No, we should. I feel like you guys are Russell, and I'm Parvati, trying to like clean up all the burnt bridges. You guys.
We should have a petition started to change the show.
To cancel the show.
To change
the show. Okay. Ben, I think, is on the standpoint of let's just burn it to the ground and start anew.
I mean, honestly, my goal at this point is just keep giving me all-stars until these people are too old to do the show. Like, and I just want to see that. Like, if we weren't doing this show, and I think Devin said it, I would not watch the flagship show weekly. I would probably DVR 4 or 5 episodes and then binge them one night. I wouldn't keep up with it weekly because my level of excitement about it is not as high. Whereas with All Stars, the first thing, as soon as I can watch that All Stars episode, I'm in. Even if we weren't covering it, I would be watching All Stars as quickly as possible.
I agree.
We all got jobs.
But, all right,
I gotta get out of here, bro.
Patreon.com/The Challenge Chronicles, $4 a month. Talk to you soon. Bye.